Well, I'm Dr. Paul Gamage. I'm an optometrist trained at The Ohio State University. I graduated in '89. Went on to complete a fellowship in visual development, postdoctorally. So that kind of enabled me to move down that path of how the vision plays a part in application, both educationally, academically, athletically. There's a number of ways that can be applied. So the brain's job is to interpret visual information and do something with it. In the case of an athlete, we're asking them to make a response based on what's happening in their visual environment and respond to it in a millisecond. So not only the accuracy of that visual information is important, but also the speed of their ability to analyze that information. So we train those skills. So those skills are not something you're innately born with. So there are different eye exercise strategies that can work on those skills to make them more efficient and to make them faster. In depth perception, the brain has to take an image from each eye and superimpose those images. That process, even though it sounds like a very simplistic thing, and it's something that we do automatically, we don't even think about it, it's a fairly highly complex process, because the superimposition of those two images is what creates what we call the 3D effect, or that depth perception, the stereo, if you will. So in an athlete where everything is moving, it's a dynamic environment as opposed to a static environment, right? So their ability to create that dynamic environment and make sure that those images are always superimposed is a challenge. And sometimes as they shift focus from one position to another, if the eye alignment and those eye muscles are not super effective or efficient, all of a sudden there will be just a slight lapse of time that's going to affect how they perceive that environment, so their ability to judge the distance where something's coming. So that's where our sensitivity with our athletes is to make sure that their skills are actually above average at the ability to superimpose images, maintain that focus while I'm shifting position, and then just as importantly, to not only be able to see straight ahead, but to be able to attend in what's going on in the peripheral environment as well, called peripheral awareness. So we can, optimize their performance to the point where things start to flow. It's almost like they start getting into the zone more quickly, as an athlete. When we work with athletes, many times we do find that these guys are very skilled. They've got all kinds of potential. Their athletic skills, they've honed since they were a kid. But for some reason, there seems to be a little gap, like they're not quite achieving maybe what they potentially could. Sometimes we'll find that one eye is not quite working the way the other eye is, and they'll never even know that. And so we've got to get the eyes balanced properly, for example, for the brain in order to work at its optimal level of measuring distance, for example. So the speed of depth perception becomes really critical. When we work with professional athletes, boy, that everything is faster, right? That's a comment you hear over and over again, that athletes that go from a high school level to a collegiate level will say, oh yeah, the game is faster. Even double or triple that when you get to the professional level. So yeah, these athletes need to have those skills honed. And many times an athlete that has skill levels to really accomplish great things at the collegiate level, then they get to the professional level and it's like, boy, they just can't quite seem to achieve everything that was expected there. And then we start discovering, yeah, there were some visual issues there that simply by working on those skills, by fixing any deficits and then honing those skills so that they're above average, sometimes they just start taking off and really achieving some great things that way. So that's where our sensitivity with our athletes is to make sure that their skills are actually above average at the ability to superimpose images, maintain that focus while I'm shifting position, and then just as importantly, to not only be able to see straight ahead, but to be able to attend in what's going on in the peripheral environment as well, called peripheral awareness. Now, I really like the concept of inner armor, an internal strength that equips you to handle the challenges of life. not only to survive that challenge, but to thrive in that environment. You know, when you think of armor, you think of something that protects, right? As we enhance skills for people that either are in a work environment or are learning academically or are working in their profession as an athlete, we also want to give them the ability to feel confident, you know, to face each day with that confidence that I can do this.